Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I hope this video finds you well wherever you are in the world. So continuing with my discussion of the Criterion Collection Laserdiscs, today, if you don't mind, I would like to talk with you briefly about the next title in the Criterion Collection Laserdisc catalog. This is the film The Seventh Seal. Of course, the very famous film from the legendary filmmaker Ingmar Bergman from 1957. This is the one, the only, The Seventh Seal. Now, I've had the great honor and privilege to have been able to talk about this film, The Seventh Seal, in the context of its release in the current Criterion Collection DVD and Blu-ray catalog. I've also had the great honor and privilege of being able to talk about the Criterion release of Ingmar Bergman's Cinema, which is this huge box set of Blu-rays that has many of Ingmar Bergman's films, including The Seventh Seal. So if you are interested in a discussion of the film itself specifically, then there are a number of videos on this particular channel that I try to address this film in some detail. So now please check those out if you're interested. I would very much love to hear your thoughts and comments about the film itself, because it is a very complex and rewarding and quite challenging work. So, and also, if you are interested in a further exploration of Ingmar Bergman's cinema in general, I would, of course, strongly suggest that you can check out anything from the Criterion Collection. For example, the Criterion Collection now, the current releases, provide a number of Bergman's films on Blu-ray, for example, and of course there is that huge box set that I mentioned earlier. So these are great resources to use. So if you are interested in a further exploration of Ingmar Bergman's cinema, including The Seventh Seal, the Criterion Collection does have a lot to offer at present. So strongly recommended if you are interested. But for purposes of this video today, my friends, I would like to focus on this particular Laserdisc release. And there are a number of releases that Criterion made of this particular film, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But first, let's look at this particular release and go from there. This is what I have here on the table, is a 2-disc CAV release. So the film is spread out over 2 discs or 4 sides, so 2 sides per disc. And this is first printing, which is from 1987, according to the back of this Criterion Collection Laserdisc. We have the front, which is not the gray or silver cover editions that we saw in some of the earlier Criterion Laserdisc releases that I showed in previous videos. And so, to my understanding and knowledge, this has not been released on any kind of silver cover edition. So this is what is purported to be on the back anyway, the first printing from 1987. This is The Seventh Seal on Criterion Laserdisc. So what we have here is the Criterion Banner along the top, which is something that I think we are used to if we recall the early DVD banner logos, for instance. And this has the distinction of being not in black, but rather in this greenish blue color with the lettering in black itself. So that's an interesting use of color there. And it's set, of course, against this gray backdrop with the seventh seal in this font here. And then this bottom half of the front cover is from the film itself. And if you know the film, you will recognize this being one of the most iconic moments in the film. So it's very emblematic. So it's nice to have it on the front cover like this. Let's go to the back first, which is, of course, setting forth the essay, which is by Peter Cowie, and it adorns this half of the back cover, so it's two columns like this and like this, and I will get to the essay in a second. And on the other side of the back cover we have the cast and crew and some information about the supplements, which I'll get to in a second. Plus we have the chapter breakdowns divided into sides, plus the fourth side, which is also dealing with some supplements, which I also get into in a second. For the most part, the chapter breakdown is pretty accurate, although there is some slight inaccuracies, very, very minor, in terms of chapters that are indicated on, let's say, side 3, when in fact, at least on the discs that I have, they're in fact on side 4. So there's a little bit of inconsistency when it comes to some of those parts of the chapter breakdown. But the chapter numbers themselves seem accurate, and so that seems to be a very minor point. And overall, it's an excellent presentation from Criterion during this time. And just for your information, if you're interested, this is a 2-disc release, and so it opens up in order to make room for the fact that it does have 2 discs housed here and then here, and then to enable to use the space effectively. What we have in the inside here are an arrangement of some stills and photographs from the film. And so excuse me for the glare, but let's see, here's one side, which is like so, and then if we look on the other side, we can see like so. Again, I apologize for the reflection of the light, but I hope you can forgive me, and my hand is in the way, I apologize. But that's what it looks like on the inside when you open it up like this. This is the 7th seal. Now, before I get to the special features, let me just say that this is a film that is, if you think about the catalog of the Criterion Collection Laserdiscs up to now, we've had, of course, Citizen Kane, and we had King Kong, and then we've had 39 Steps, Lady Vanishes, The Third Man, Swing Time, High Noon, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Magnificent Ambersons. And now we have this film, which is the 7th seal. So in that order, this falls as the 10th film in the Criterion Collection Laserdisc catalog, if we count Citizen Kane as being number 1 and then going forward. And indeed, this film is deemed to be spine number 10. It is often described as being spine number 10 for a number of reasons. But just to let you know, the copy that I have here, which is again purported to be from 1987, on the spine it says the 7th seal, the Criterion Collection, but there is no number 10 on the bottom part of the spine here. And so I have never come across any copy of this with a number 10 on the bottom. There might be some, and I just don't know about it. I haven't seen it. Incidentally, I do have another copy here. I don't go around collecting these. This is also collected by chance, in fact, but I did happen across another copy, and this copy that I have also does not have a spine number. Of course, this is not in any way an exhaustive analysis of this particular issue, but the point is that, at least as far as I am aware, and again, I could be wrong because my information when it comes to Laserdiscs is quite limited, but and as you know also, there is the possibility that there could be many iterations of a particular release. There wasn't necessarily a sense of really strong uniformity when it came to the early Laserdisc printings. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that as any kind of insult. On the contrary, Criterion were doing, and Voyager Company were doing so many revolutionary things with respect to physical media and collecting and Laserdiscs at the time. So and this whole thing about spine numbers as well, that was also a big innovation. And so there were certain things that I think were trying to be worked out along the way. One of those issues being spine numbers. We should also point out that the films that we had seen in the catalog up to now were all releases that were made up to 1986. And then now we have a release, the Seventh Seal, which is, according to the back, from 1987. And so perhaps this might be a time in the Criterion Collection Laserdisc history where there are some releases that don't have spine numbers on the spines themselves. There will be some other titles that I will talk about in subsequent videos that have this similar issue. So why does this then get number 10, the number 10 spot? Okay, so there could be a number of possibilities. So one possibility is, yes, indeed, it is certainly very possible that there could be copies of this particular Laserdisc that are in existence and that were prepared and printed that actually have a number 10 on the spine number. And if so, that's great. If you have any information about that, please let me know. I'm always interested in getting more information about this sort of detail. But that's one possibility, which I haven't verified as of now. But another possibility, and one that I think is very reasonable, is that please note that later, this was made in 1987. This Laserdisc was released in 1987. The first printing is indicated as being 1987, the CAV release. Then, a couple of years later, in 1990, Criterion then released the CLV release version of the Seventh Seal, the single disc release. Again, this is printed in 1990, according to the back. This is given the spine number 10A. 10A. And so, as you may recall, the A labeling is given usually to a title that already has a release in a CAV format. And so this is the alternative CLV format that's being released, thus giving it the A alternative appellation or designation as a spine number, so 10A. And so the fact that this is given a 10A designation for the CLV release that was printed in 1990 might suggest that as of 1990, Criterion itself deemed this particular title in the spine number 10 spot. And so I think for that reason, primarily, this title is now deemed to be Laserdisc spine number 10. Once again, I don't have this particular copy that I have does not have a number 10 on the spine. And I don't know if this does have a number 10 on its spine. If you have a copy of this with the number 10 on the spine, I would very much love to hear from you about that, because that's very interesting to me. But for all intents and purposes, this is generally considered now to be number 10 in the catalog, and thus it's referred to as spine number 10. So for purposes of this discussion, I will refer to it as spine number 10, although technically speaking, there is no spine number, at least on the CAV release. So I hope that makes sense. I know Criterion Laserdiscs have a little bit of confusion to them. There are some inconsistencies, understandable ones, of course, but there are some inconsistencies that I think make the collecting aspect of them quite interesting, sometimes confusing, oftentimes very engaging and interesting. And I think this is one of those issues. And it will come up again with future releases. So anyway, this is the Seventh Seal, spine number 10. And speaking of this CAV release, there are special features, but actually before I get to the special features, I should mention that this is the first film in the Criterion Collection Laserdisc catalog. If we start from Citizen Kane and then go all the way up to the last film before this, which was The Magnificent Ambersons, and then we go to the Seventh Seal. This is the first film, therefore, that is being presented where the language of the film is something other than English. It is not in the English language, it is in the Swedish language. And so what this means, therefore, is this film is being presented in Swedish with English subtitles. And the subtitles are, the print that is being used is using subtitles that are burned into the print. And so they're not any optional subtitles like we know today, where you can turn them on or turn them off with the press of a button. These are actually burned in, and so there's no option of turning them on or off. And they're of the type where they're sort of white typeface, and it's set against a black and white film, and so sometimes it might be difficult to make out what is actually being written out because it's white text on, let's say, a white or close to white background. So there is that issue with burnt-in subtitles. Also, there's the interesting thing about this particular print that the subtitles actually within the same film have different fonts, and so sometimes you'll have a subtitle that has one font, and then a few scenes later the subtitle will change to a different font, probably corresponding to a reel change, the reels when they were shown in theaters, as they a film was shown on a number of reels, and so perhaps I'm making an assumption here, but it would seem like the most reasonable guess to make would be that each reel had its own set of subtitles, of course, and perhaps based on the reel change, there's the possibility that the subtitling font itself could have been changed. So in fact, you see in this particular release by the Criterion Collection cases where the font is indeed different. So that's an interesting little fact about this particular print that is being used by the Criterion Collection here. It's not a bad thing at all, because I think it's great to have this in the Swedish language with English subtitles. So it's really wonderful to have. And what I should say also is, this has, as I said here, let's look at the back here. This has a list here of the audio, well, it has the list of the supplements, and the supplements that are included on this particular release are what's called an audio essay by film historian Peter Cowie, analyzing the film in depth. And this is included on the second audio track. And so it's much like a Blu-ray player today. You press the audio button and you can access the commentary track, or what's known as the audio essay track by Peter Cowie. So that is one of the options here, and it's a very strong option because, as you may know, Peter Cowie is a film scholar, a film historian, and he is a supreme expert in Ingmar Bergman and his cinema. So it's wonderful to have Peter Cowie's work on The Seventh Seal in this audio essay or commentary track. Incidentally, the commentary track is indeed the same commentary track which we will find on the later Criterion DVD release, which is right here. So you can find the Peter Cowie commentary track here, and you can also find it on the current Blu-ray releases of the Criterion Collection's Seventh Seal. For example, here is the individual release of the Seventh Seal from the Criterion Collection at spine number 11 for the DVD and Blu-ray. So you can find that commentary track here as well as the Ingmar Bergman cinema box set. But that's the same commentary track that was originally made in 1987 for this particular release of the Seventh Seal on Laserdisc. So it's all there, it's intact. I should say that for the Blu-ray, there is actually an additional afterword, a separately recorded afterword that you can find in the supplement section of this particular Blu-ray, which is kind of a little addendum to the original 1987 audio's commentary track. So that's an interesting little addition. But for the Laserdisc, we didn't have that afterword. We just had the commentary track, and it ended when the film ended. So that commentary track is still intact in the DVD and then in the subsequent Blu-ray releases from the Criterion Collection. So if you're interested in that, you can always check out the current Blu-ray release, for example. Then the Laserdisc also offers an illustrated and annotated filmography of Ingmar Bergman, including excerpts from Wild Strawberries and The Magician. And this is for the most part, kind of slideshow presentation. It's the essay, which is, I think, also by Peter Cowie, and it's an essay that is written out on slides, and it's talking about Ingmar Bergman's life and also his film career, talking about each of his films. And this is also accompanied by certain photographs or pictures of Ingmar Bergman, his family life, and then himself as a filmmaker on all of these films. So this is a very great essay filled with a lot of information, a wealth of information and knowledge, again by the great Peter Cowie. So highly, highly recommended. It also has two moments where you have the essay talking about, for instance, wild strawberries, and then it has a place where you can stop the essay and play a clip from Wild Strawberries. The same is true for the film The Magician. The English title is The Magician. So this is a kind of an interactive essay, if you will, that's included. And this is about Ingmar Bergman's cinema and his life. Let me say also that the interactive essay is one where you, as I say, it's on slides. And so you press the forward button or the step forward, step back button to navigate yourself through the essay. So it's like a slideshow presentation. This slideshow presentation is also a supplement on the DVD, the older DVD release by Criterion of The Seventh Seal. The slides themselves are different. So here you actually have slides with printed type on them. And here it's more of a, I think, computer-generated font. So the font is different, but allowing for differences in font, I went through them, and from what I understand, the essay content themselves is the same. So you're getting the same actual supplement in content form anyway, that was available in the Laserdisc back in the day. So that's a very interesting thing. Incidentally, the Blu-ray of this film, The Seventh Seal from the Criterion Collection, doesn't have this essay in a step forward, step backward slideshow presentation format, but there is the supplement, which is called Bergman 101, which is like a video essay given by Peter Cowie. It's basically a shot of, or a selection of pictures edited together, and Peter Cowie's narration as he's reading his essay. So that, in essence, is the essay that we found in the original 1987 Laserdisc, and then what we found in the later, earlier DVD and slideshow form. If you want to get a sense of what that essay was in visual form in current Criterion releases, you can go to the Blu-ray, and it's called Bergman 101. But for purposes of this Laserdisc, we have the essay in, as I say, a kind of navigatable slideshow format. And so it's, again, another interesting thing from the Criterion Collection, and it did a lot of this sort of supplement at the time. And then there's also a bibliography, and the bibliography is really great because it also provides further sources of research for anyone who's interested in reading up more about Bergman, about The Seventh Seal. So the special features, to repeat, are the commentary track by Peter Cowie, the slideshow presentation of the essay on Ingmar Bergman's life and his career, and then a bibliography on Ingmar Bergman and this film, The Seventh Seal. So we have these three supplements, and we have to remember that this was in 1987, and so I think it can be said that there was no internet access like we have today. There was no Ingmar Bergman box set like we have today. And so to have, at the time, something like this available where you had a really in-depth discussion of Bergman and this particular film, plus you had a real in-depth essay by Peter Cowie, plus you had a bibliography that had more options for further research and study, all located in this one-stop shop, as it were, I think is just, again, another great indication of how helpful Criterion was for anyone who's interested in a further exploration of Bergman's cinema and The Seventh Seal at this time, the late 1980s. So this is a really big deal, and so this is, again, another exciting release from the Criterion Collection during its Laserdisc era. I should also point out, just for the sake of completeness, that this essay by Peter Cowie can be found, for the most part anyway, as the essay which is found in the original DVD, which is right here, and I've now just taken out the little leaflet. It is the same, although it has been altered very, very slightly, just to take into account the fact that the DVD came out. This was in 1998, whereas this was in 1987. So over 10 years had passed between this release and this release. So to take into account that 10-year passage, some editorial changes have been made, very minor ones, to the essay. But in terms of the sort of the contents of the essay itself in substantive form anyway, it is more or less identical. So if you're interested in the Peter Cowie essay as it appeared on the Criterion Laserdisc, and if you have the DVD, you can check out the DVD leaflet and check out the essay which is imprinted there to give you a sense of what's on the back here. It's very interesting stuff. Incidentally, what I've decided to do, in case you're interested, is I've decided to have pictures of these that I've taken and just post them on my Instagram account. And so if you're interested in just looking at some of the pictures of these covers and the cover art for the Laserdiscs, please check out my Instagram account. You can find information in the description box, and I'll be posting pictures there as much as possible. So you can, if you want to take a look at the essay, you can probably look at a picture that I'll post there. You can zoom in and see what's actually written. So in case you're interested, I'll be trying to put up some pictures of these on my Instagram account. Information can be found in the description box. So this is the 7th seal, the CAV release. And so let me now turn once again to the single disc release, which I had referred to earlier. And as you may remember, I had referred to this because this was from 1990, but this also has the distinction of having the spine number here, 10A, indicating this being a CLV release, single disc, so the film is spread out over 2 sides on one single disc. There are none of the special features such as the bibliography. There is not, so there's no bibliography, and there is no written essay by Peter Cowie. However, we do have the audio essay, the audio commentary track by Peter Cowie, which is available on the analog track 2. So the second analog track, it's the optional analog track. So you just have to press the audio button a number of times to get it, and then you can listen into the audio commentary track. It's the same audio commentary track. Incidentally, also, you just take a look at the front here. It's pretty much the same as what I have here. Maybe note the slight darkness in the gray tone, perhaps, but for the most part, it is the same. And down to the logos there. And if we look at the back here, everything for the most part looks the same. Just note here that we have the digital sound logo in the corner and extended play CLV in the corner right here, of the upper top here. And then the essay, the Peter Cowie essay, is the same, and we have the cast and crew information here and the chapter breakdowns for the single disc 2 sides. And then here we have one still, because as you recall, this is a single disc, so it doesn't open up. The disc is just inside here, so it doesn't have any place to have stills except this one place. And so we have this still, again, another famous scene from the film as depicted on the back cover here with this picture in the corner. So this is the release of the 7th seal on the CLV release and on this CAV release. So my friends, this is the 7th seal on Criterion Laserdisc. So once again, if you have any comments or information about this particular release, as I was trying to allude to earlier in this video, please, I would very much love to hear anything you have to offer. As always, I am so interested in getting more information about these particular releases and the Criterion Laserdiscs. There is so much I don't know, and I am so thirsty for more information. So if you have any information, please let me know, and I would very much love to have a conversation with you about this or about any other release on Laserdisc from the Criterion Collection. But for now, this is the 7th seal, and this is deemed to be spine number 10, and also this is spine number 10A for purposes of the current cataloging of the Laserdiscs from the Criterion Collection. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. So thank you very much for your time, and until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Thank you once again, and cheers.